Thrash in 2024, how's it doing? Well, let's take a look. Today I'm going through my top 10 thrash albums of 2024, including some non-thrash honorable mentions. I reviewed 28 albums in 2024, which is the most I've ever done in a single year in terms of like brand new albums, but it still did not scratch the surface on what I really wanted to get to. Here are the ones that I know I wanted to get to, but I was not able to. But I gotta tell you that I'm sure that's not a complete list. What I really have to do is shout out Thrash Mania, which honestly has probably the most complete list of new releases that I've ever seen. An amazing channel you should definitely check out. Now, even though I'm doing the top 10, I do want to highlight a few albums that got really close to the top 10 I still think are really worth your time. Now, it was a tall order, no matter what, but Morbid Saint did not quite stack up to their classic material, although Swallowed by Hell was an incredibly tight and aggressive album. Not every one of the riffs in the new Vulture album were something that I was really into, but this German speed metal band is doing a little bit of a return to form in the sense that their songwriting is just nuts, and this album is a great listen. Bat are attacking that blackened, punky speed metal sound. Yet again, they're doing a better job on this album, and it's a much more metallic album, so I was a big fan. There were also a whole host of other releases by friends of the channel: Interceptor, Dead Alive, Belushi Speedball, Zonner, and then EPs by both Zero Tolerance and Self-Absorbed that were really good, including some non-thrash albums that I really enjoyed this year: Coffin Storm, which is kind of like doom thrash, the Mammoth Grinder EP, which is a very extreme form of, I guess you could call it death thrash. The New Blood Incantation is pretty good. I did listen to it a couple of times. Spectral Wounds' new album was pretty good. The new Stress Angel was amazing. I really liked that one, but it was a little bit too much on the OSDM side for me to include it in a review. Also, last but not least, Crippling Alcoholism, which is not going to be an easy sell for many thrashers, but it was a devastatingly depressing kind of indie goth industrial thing. I loved it, though. Starting at number 10, we have Inverted Cross, Eternal Flames of Hell, which is a Spanish black and speed metal band that's among the best at mixing punk with speed metal, black metal, and Motorhead. It absolutely nails that sound. It was a very fresh take on the style, but it sounded like it was directly from the 80s. In at number 9, we have a really fresh thrash band from the Czech Republic called Faust and their album Death Galore. This is a weird take on skank beats, a weird take on thrash riffing, but it all works. It's just a very fresh sound in thrash. Early in the year, there were a couple of really strong death thrash albums that came out. Sovereign from Norway and their album Altered Realities was one of those. This was progressive and dissonant and really fast and aggressive, but definitely firmly planted in thrash, and it was a great time. And at number 7, we have Frenetron, Seeking for Death, which is a Polish band that relocated to Germany and are producing some of the best old-school thrash that almost borders on speed metal that I've ever heard. The riffs do not pioneer a single thing. They sound like they are directly from the 80s, and yet it sounds very fresh and like it's a long-lost album. Very, very well done. In at number 6, He Can't Stop, He Won't Stop, Athanar of Midnight releases yet another Hellish Expectation. This album was way too short, but what was there was very incisive, very good. He's doing exactly what he normally does, except maybe a little bit more aggressive. Next up, we have Dissimulator, Lower Form Resistance. This is a death thrash band from Montreal, very techy, almost sounds like a thrashier version of Nocturnus. It's thrash metal with blast beats. I'm in favor. And at number 4, we have Chainsaw, which is a Greek thrash band that I just found out about, but they have released a decent amount of material. This is Throwback Album of the Year because it does honestly sound like early Brazilian, early Teutonic, and early Italian blackened thrash, a la Bulldozer, a la Creator, early Sepultura, early Sodom. It's really well done, though. It's like all those examples I just gave you had poor performances. This does not. So imagine all of that same sound production, those same type of riffs, those same types of song constructions, except everybody knows exactly what they're doing. All right, we're in the top 3. Are you ready? Lucifuge, Hexensabbat. This is a black and thrash band, black and speed metal band that honestly keeps getting better and better and better and better. Ever since around 2018, they release an album almost one a year, and this one is the best so far. Yet another thrash band from the Czech Republic in at number 2. Refor, Illusions of Existence, was just a really well done, straightforward thrash album with a lot of smaller details that put them over the edge. Fun songwriting, interesting riffs, fun drum patterns, fun rhythms. Everything about this is just very flavorful, musical, and interesting. And the tremolo picking was just perfect. We're talking about 16th notes played with clarity, intention, and lots of attack. And in at the top spot, number 1 is Mayhemic, Toba. This is a Chilean blackened and death thrash band that just produces the most claustrophobic blizzard of death and thrash that I think I've ever heard. It is so unbelievably unrelenting. Everything is good. Everything is technically proficient. The performances are very well done, and yet they are so intense and quick. This is a fucking debut album. This is a fucking debut album. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe that a band would have this as their first album. It's unbelievable. Thrash is just fine, all right? If we're taking the pulse here, we're doing just fine. The one thing to note is that most of these picks were from outside of the United States. So if you're looking for really good thrash, you're gonna have to do some walking. The other thing to note is that a lot of these are debut albums, and that's even more exciting because that means that we're getting new good stuff all the time. And the last thing I'll note is a lot of the old guys that came out with stuff like Kerry King, I was nowhere near impressed with. So if it's old and from the US, it's probably not doing much. If it's new and from overseas, somewhere outside the US or from Germany, it probably rules. We got a lot to look forward to in 2025. Album from Dark Angel, believe it or not. Maybe an album from Anthrax, maybe an album from Exodus. We'll see. We'll see if any of those stack up to their older material, but I honestly think we're going to get plenty of really good stuff from outside the United States and from young kids that are picking this shit up and just really want to fucking shred.